Meeting is called to order. I need a roll call for, to see who's here.
How do you want to
Can
do
you
it?
start that?
Yep, okay, Cynthia Downing.
Kristen Dumar,
Margot Rain.
Ray Rivera,
Anthony Williams,
Tamara Stoner.
Stephen Franklin, Reverend Aaron Moore.
Okay. So we have a quorum. The minutes from the August 25th meeting are in the packet. Do I have any corrections to those minutes? I'm assuming nobody has any corrections to these minutes then?
I could.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Ray Rivera, I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? And one abstain.
There's
Okay.
gonna be two abstains.
Who's the other one?
A new
Two
member.
abstains, yes, okay. So we have a majority approving with two abstentions. I think. Public comments? Nobody's here? So we're gonna skip that. It's with pleasure. I am welcoming our newest member, Reverend Aaron Moore. He graciously agreed to join us and lend his wisdom to our body, so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I won't make you make a speech.
No, thank you. I can go on and on and on and on.
Here we all. Okay. The next item on the agenda is this discussion of the planning classes and the development of an onboarding process. I began to realize, I knew when I came on, I just sort of felt like I've been thrown in the deep end. And we've had quite a few new people on in the last couple of years. And so I want to create some kind of onboarding process. And what I would like to know is, what do you, so somebody who's relatively new, what is it you wish you knew? And for somebody who's been around a while, what is it you wish you knew when you started that you only found out about later?
Well, I did take one of the classes they did online, the Zoom classes, we did that, I think Max did it before I knew Max. That was very helpful. And to have and I took one of them.
Do you remember which one?
Probably took like planning 101.
Probably the zoning,
Zoning.
yeah.
Something, probably planning 101,
A lot of us took the zoning class.
but that was
Okay.
very helpful, and just to maybe be made aware of them monthly when they are coming up, like
Okay.
prior, so we have time to sign up. Antonine, if I'm correct, any fees are covered by the city.
Yeah, we sent an email a few weeks ago. And there was a series of classes if you were interested. I know Cynthia tried to sign up for one. It was too late to register at that point. It's probably got full. There's maybe one or two left in the series.
There's one November 14th.
Yeah, maybe 14. I don't remember about anything after that, but
They're
we'll
in
go back to
person though,
that.
right?
They've gone, yeah,
Yeah.
and they're in Dover.
Yeah,
That-
but I did it, I did the one in Dover the one time.
Yeah,
I think you were there too.
Tamara was with us.
Yeah, and I did think that was helpful to actually
It
go in
was.
person and
Yeah.
like hear what other people were saying and.
Especially hearing like I've been to it myself and hearing the other like municipalities, right?
Yeah,
Well, that's one thing I do. I watch the Newark Post online to see what they're doing. Cause they publish a lot of their stuff too from their meetings. So I would definitely put that as a suggestion is to, look online at,
Some more timely information for those classes. Okay, we can do that.
yeah.
What else would people like to know? Or wish they had known?
Well, primer on the comprehensive plan, just like, what is it? Because if you haven't ever messed with it, you just don't know. And,
Yeah.
why is it so huge and, what important and, what do all the sections mean? And maybe some overview too of the maps, which even today confuse me. So.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
So just, and it wouldn't surprise me if some of this was videoed somewhere and you could just watch it, right? I mean, you don't need to go to a class on a certain time. Doesn't it exist somewhere where you could just watch a already recorded class or something?
Well, it would need to be Delaware specific.
Yeah, I would have to see what is available. I don't know, what is currently available, but
Well, sort of in line, if we're gonna talk about the comprehensive plan, I think it'd be helpful for everyone to have sort of a timeline. Cause I know we bring it up when it, it's time to put it on the agenda, but I'd never in my mind ahead of time, like when we have to discuss these things annually, when we have to discuss them every 5 years or 10 years, or like to maybe have a time frame of, what we would discuss each year regarding the plan, and then planning ahead, like for the 5-year or 10-year or whatever we have to do, like when does that occur, and what steps do we need to like start thinking of like before then? So just
Like a roadmap.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything like super detailed, but just like a general timeline and like general like idea of like what needs to be done when, and like, when it should be added to the, agenda, so that we have a time, like, okay, well, we talk about that every November or something like that.
like the annual report due in July, you talk about it.
Yeah, I don't remember that until I put it on the agenda, so, but it'd be helpful if we knew like a time frame ahead of time, so in case we wanted to think about things ahead of time or plan ahead.
Yeah.
Just in general, it'd be nice to have like a time frame.
Another thing that would be nice to have understood earlier was how much community involvement was involved in the creation of the comprehensive plan. Because I think, certainly this time reading it through, I looked at all the input from the community, and it was really interesting, and there were a lot of people involved, and maybe the fact that it's not done in a vacuum I think is important, and also thinking about for future, for the tenure, how do we get more people to get engaged? So I did notice in looking at the list that most of the people who gave input to the last time were in the historic district. And, obviously we're trying in this group to broaden the number of members into the greater community, and how do we get more people involved in thinking about the future of the city? And that's coming up, by the way, in 5 years we'll do the new one.
Well, actually, I've given it a wee bit of thought, not a lot, because I wanted to get through this first, but I think somewhere between 18 months and 2 years, I think we'll need to start whole contract with the company that does that. We're gonna need to start holding public meetings, and we need to figure out a way, as you say, to get those other communities showing up. And it's just something to work on right now. I need to figure that
Think
out, but I
about,
agree, yeah.
Which may add something.
Yes, I think a general understanding what the role is of the commissioners. And also the terms, understanding what the terms are. And how many times you could repeat a term.
Oh, okay.
Like terms, like if we're just 2 years, 4 years, or are we taking over someone's unexpired term, like just a complete understanding of that. There should be like a visible list of that coming in for orientation. How many people make up the commission?
So that, did you say this in?
Hmm?
You saw this in?
Yeah, we really have that.
Yeah, we just
I don't think we
updated it.
always had that. I didn't.
No, we had
see
that a few
when-
months ago.
Yeah, I didn't see that when I came, so I'm talking from
Oh.
that perspective.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have had it in the past, but it
It's
doesn't
a-
get.
I-
It was
yeah, I
in
may-
there
I-
for me when I first came on board, so I wasn't on board it that way, so just for someone coming in new, I'm glad
Yeah,
he's getting it for the first.
I think
his first.
there was like a lapse too, like I think someone had left the city and stuff, so I think there was a lapse in like
Yeah,
trying to get like some of the stuff that would normally get done or added or sent out. I
Yeah.
think there was.
Are there term
and it's also good to have.
Oh,
it
there are?
part
Yeah,
of
it's in the
roles.
code.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's all in the code, and understanding how the city code relates to these commissions would also be helpful.
Yeah, and so when you're orienting someone, you want them not to have to search for it. They shouldn't have to look for those things. It should be like in a short little booklet or pamphlet or something like that. Something
Yeah, like
that
you
we
should be
can
given,
go to. Like for instance, the city solicitor, the city administrator, like what are those roles? What do they mean as it relates to us?
And a general overview of FOIA and what you can and can't do.
FOIA, very important, yeah.
And some things could be like a document, I feel like, with like links, so like,
Mhm.
like, you know, when you're doing like a packet to give to a new committee member, maybe having like a document with like a link to the comprehensive plan, a link to the
Yeah.
maps, a link to like any policies or things that are online, just to have that like in one place.
And also our meeting policy that we created,
Mhm.
that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a new member, I was emailed the comprehensive plan
And you read every word of it,
and I
right?
was getting ready to call and resign. Some type of initial orientation of what is the planning commission? Where does it fall in the hierarchy of the Newcastle government? What is our primary and secondary role? You know, and I would like to know that. I'm sure I'm going to find out, by attending these meetings, but it would be nice if I heard them up front, what we actually do
Yeah.
and what are we actually planning.
Yeah. Like, I think one thing you'll probably find with this is that we do a lot of suggestions that go to the city council and then they actually approve it or not approve it or send it back to us for reconsideration with different changes that they suggest or something
Mhm.
sometimes. But I think a lot of things, like for us, is we don't always make the final decisions about things. Certain things we will, but other things are more like we make a suggestion and it goes on to another body to approve.
And that would be good to know, like I said, where do we fit in the hierarchy? You know, is there some type of organizational chart to show that, what we
I
actually.
actually made that, for, I think it was for the Historic Area Commission, some presentation we did. I don't know if I've shared that with
I
you.
don't know.
But I'd be happy to share it with you. Again, it shows where all the commissions sit and recommendation versus decider and, you know, all that stuff as it rolls up to city council. So,
But actually, I would agree with what Reverend Moore and Tamara were saying again, because when I came on, I know we had a little conversation, and you kind of gave me an overview, and then I went to the website to kind of see what the role was.
Mhm.
And so between the two, I kind of pieced together and figured out what it is that we actually do. But I didn't know that going in, so yeah, that would be good to.
Yeah, it would be best not to find that out during a meeting.
Yeah.
Like,
Like the rest of them, because I had it all done at this point.
Kind of like a job
Yeah.
description, like, you know, when you actually like apply for a post, you have a job description or something.
Like when someone is offered the opportunity to join the planning commission, the next step should be your orientation will be on such and such a date.
Right, that's what I wanna get to.
And the chair should be involved, administrator should be, you know what I'm saying? You
And it
guys
would
should
help to
posted
be-
for you.
Excuse me,
Sorry, go
I don't mean to cut you.
ahead.
It would help to be in person, so if there are questions that were asked, you know, they could be answered. It doesn't have to be long drawn out session, about an hour to.
Well,
yeah.
the city solicitors offered, because I mentioned it to her today, and she's offered to put together a PowerPoint, because I'm thinking whatever
That would be great.
we put together, we'd all go through it initially. So we'll work on that for either November or December.
I can send it, the one I did to you too, because we used it for a public meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks.
Okay.
Anything else you can think of? And that doesn't mean like, once if you think of something else, shoot me an email or,
Don't reply all to all the emails because I'm
yeah.
not allowed to have conversations outside the meeting about things we talk about.
is this true?
So if Margot sends something to everybody and you want to say something, then just reply to Margot.
Well,
And
actually,
whoever the
all of it
fiddler-
is Lisa, and we have her do everything.
Mhm.
So,
You can reply directly to me. And I can disseminate information, but we can
I
have
usually-
an ongoing conversation.
Yeah, we can't have like email chains going on and we can't speak about ongoing business out in public with each other, amongst each other. Is that right?
Correct,
Or really anyone else?
Or with the public.
correct.
Correct.
If there is a pending application and somebody approaches you, just suggest that they show up at the next meeting and let thoughts be known to the planning commission.
And a quick question on that. I know it came up before with our personal emails. Someone had given out our personal emails. Did we come up with a solution?
Yeah, we're trying to look at what the best solution to that would be.
I was just curious.
No, it's fine.
Well, I ended up just creating an email, a Gmail email
Just for this.
just for that,
Mhm.
because technically,
They can request your emails.
yeah, so I didn't want all the other stuff I do to get messed in with that.
Well, we don't want it going to work and stuff like that, so that's why I asked us.
This page in the packet was just in our packet, right, with everybody's information on it?
Mhm.
It's not in their packet.
No.
The numbers are there.
Oh, you mean for the comment?
With the terms.
Yeah, with the,
No, the only thing they get is a copy of the agenda.
Our names are not on the website and probably shouldn't be.
They're not?
No.
Okay, I'll double check.
Anything else? We'll move on to the,
well, I'm gonna say this, once they do develop something, we should all sit in on it the first time around.
that's what we're gonna do.
Yes, that's the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll all be reoriented. And then at that point, as we go through that, if there's things missing or we wanna add, we can.
Everyone's names on the website, under boards and commissions.
Is it?
Mhm.
All right, I'll go look.
We just need to update, with Rivermore, and then we'll be all good.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So, Rivermore, for your benefit, we kind of realized we needed a better handle on. And you're right, looking at this thing is overwhelming and my response initially was to want to run Scrippy from the room. So we decided that if we just started and took a couple chapters a meeting, it made it much more manageable, and we're finishing it up. What we've been discussing with this 5-year review is there anything in here that really needs to be changed right now? Because it is a bit of a, we'd have to do it, and then it goes to city council, and then it goes to the state to make any changes. So it would have to be something really critical to change it now. Otherwise, what do we want to make sure we're addressing? A note to address for when we get ready to start the 10, because you have to do this every 10 years by state law. So when we're ready to start with the 10-year review, what are the things we know we want to talk about and update? Chapter 10. What kind of comments? Economic development.
One of the things I would observe reading it is that since this was written, the list of things we wish we had on page 102 has changed substantially, at least in the historic district. We have a lot more businesses that are doing interesting stuff. We have clothing store, we have health and personal care stores. We have gift, novelty and souvenir stores, art dealers, snacks and bars, full service eateries. Thank you, Tony. Thank God you're here. All these other things. We have almost all these things in the historic district. Where we don't have it's in the rest of the city. And that I think is part of the planning that we need to think about for for topics going forward, is how do we bring this to life for the entire city, not just the historic district.
So I have a question about that. So the layout of Newcastle is pretty spread out. And the definitive communities are bedroom communities, correct? And then most of those communities are supported by a series of strip malls and other small independent retail operations. So, Kristen, the area you live in, so there's no, like, around the corner grocery store there.
Right here. Like right here.
Oh, so you're right here. So if I look at, I don't know all the roads, but if I'm coming by the elementary school,
Mhm.
there seems to be a pocket of food service, mechanics, other goods for people to support themselves in the community. I don't know if every community has the ability to have that layout.
You mean at 141?
Yeah.
Yeah, because 141 is, I think, is outside the city limits, isn't it?
That,
Oh, I'm
no, that's.
comparing to,
was in-
when you,
Mary Road
the
Color.
elementary school coming the back road. I don't know the name of it.
Hills.
Yeah,
Oh, coming Route 9.
Oh,
Coming up
coming
that
from
way.
Castle Hills?
yes.
So there's the apartment complex and there's the gas station, the liquor store.
Dunkin'
I think
Donuts.
there's, no, right here. There's
The
a
car wash, I think. or-
there's a car wash, there's a storage unit, and this is all outside the city limits.
Yeah, there's a
This is
grocery
3D.
store there.
I think it's like a little Mexican.
Oh, that's where
grocery
you're
store.
talking about,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, the grocery store, the closest one is the one up here, which
Mhm.
I know we can't affect that, but it was very sad when we lost the Pathmark and we
Oh,
didn't get
yeah.
anything else in.
How long ago was that?
Before we came. so
Pre-
more than
no,
3
no,
years ago.
3 or 4 years
It
ago.
was pre-COVID.
Well, not, I mean, Pathmark went out of business a long
Long
time ago.
Oh, the one,
And Acme was gonna come in, I don't know if that's true, but I wish they would have gotten another big grocery store in there versus now it's an Indian market, I've been in there, I just,
It's
Oh,
the
women.
Indian market and the Five Below.
and the gym,
Five Below and the Indian market are where the Pathmark used to be.
and the gym,
And
yeah.
the gym, yeah.
well, one of the challenges is, I mean, in the city of Newcastle, there's not a lot of, enough people to really keep a lot of those things going. Is the challenge. So you need to be bringing people in who can, and that's why you see such a succession of,
Well, that's not really the case, this places went out of business, Superfresh went out of business.
oh, I know, but
But I mean, Pathmark went out of business, it's not because they weren't sustained, I grew up, I worked at Pathmark when I was 16. You know, those businesses went out of, there's no more Pathmarks and there's no
Right,
more
right.
Superfreshes, it's just.
well, and the location of the, was clearly not attractive enough to other supermarkets for them to be willing to go in there.
That's not what I heard, but I won't say, cause I can't
Oh.
validate it.
Okay.
But I heard that there were other markets interested in going in there and there was possibly, and that there was. Whoever owns the buildings, there was
Well, they're gonna do whatever it is
Yeah.
to keep that.
there,
They don't have any
They're-
jurisdiction over it.
no, that's owned by the trustees.
But you're asking, Tony, like.
Yeah.
Is each neighborhood, you know, Buttonwood, did they have corner stores and things like that, just like the downtown?
Maybe there's some capability there, maybe there's not. When I look at the stores that have replaced the stores that you're talking about, I think it's representative of the cultural makeup of the communities that are shopping there.
Mhm.
The Indian store, now, I go there quite frequently, and if you haven't been, they have some of the best produce in
It's
town.
awesome.
Oh, really?
It really is.
Just check the dates on some of the things you buy.
I'm talking about the best produce in town. I don't buy dairy from there.
Right.
They have quality products. That store is busy
Their cooked food is good too.
all the time. The Super G,
Super G.
that is now a de facto ethnic food store.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just walk through their produce aisle and you can tell who's shopping there, which says a lot about who's near that store. If they don't always have what I want, sometimes I have to go to ShopRite. You know, it'd be nice if we had a ShopRite here. But is there a need for smaller corner grocery stores that tend to charge more for food?
No.
You know how that works. You pay for convenience. You put a store like that in a community and they need something and they're overpaying
Mhm.
for from Jump Street.
That tends to be what the Walgreens and Rite Aids and
So they fill
CVS's
that
have filled in.
They have expanded, the Walgreens and
CVS.
the Dollar General,
Mhm.
they have kind of expanded to kind of fill that gap.
Right. So they are the modern suburban bodegas.
Basically,
There's now no one-stop
there's no
place to shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as groceries, produce and all of that, so.
Yeah, you go to the farmer's market and save a lot.
But when I was reading,
Otherwise you have to go out and, I go out Acme or somewhere else sometimes. Like-
Remember when Acme used to be where the Rite Aid was? You remember that?
No, I do.
Yeah.
Well,
My
Before that
mom
was
used to
Rite Aid, it was
go-
Acme.
My mom used
Yeah.
to get dropped off by
That
the
was-
bus
that
there,
was-
go shopping and my dad would pick her up.
Well, Rite Aid is no more, as you all know.
And now Rite Aid's
Yeah.
gone, so God knows what's gonna replace
It's changed Walgreens a lot. Walgreens pharmacy at Ferry Cutoff is now open 7 days a week.
Oh, it
which
is
was not
again?
before, yeah.
Oh,
It's
good.
still closed for lunch, but, and they have later hours as well, because they picked up all the, Rite Aid,
Devon CVS.
yeah.
Yeah, because for a while there, they weren't open on weekends, which
they
is
were,
a
yeah,
problem.
they were closed for a while. But when I was looking at chapter 10, I agree. The one thing, I think there was a passage on page 100. And I circled it saying there's a strong need to encourage more local retail opportunities within the city. I was saying it's very true to encourage versus discourage. And then I agree with Cynthia on page 102. You know, that actually, a lot of things that they list now exist, like the health and personal care, we now have the yoga studio. Used merchandise, we have opera antiques. The gift and novelty store, I can't recall the name, but Hugh and Barbara's Curiosity, thank you. And then we have the Dream Bakery, and we have Zolly's, we have Rancho Azteca, we got the Sycamore. So there are a lot of things that now exist that weren't there when this is written.
And the Saturday market.
Then Saturday market, so I mean, there you can have like a florist. We don't actually have a standalone florist store, we don't have, we don't really have we have the antique, the vintage store in the old town hall, we don't really have a clothing.
There's
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a
one-
big
one-
store,
yes, yes, we do, Jen's store, yes.
She's doing
Yes, we
pretty
do.
good.
Yes, she is. Yes, that's true, she is. So, yes, I agree that looking at this, I mean, a lot of things that were listed then now have kind of come to fruition. But I guess it's still important that we need to be actively trying to encourage versus discourage. For businesses.
I think, the business owners, especially in the downtown area, have been doing a lot to
Yeah.
encourage that. I mean, and now we have Denali, which is the hair salon. And there's a facial place, is that next door to it?
It's there, it's only open partially, so it is there, yeah.
I think it's
So-
appointment only, almost.
But still, it's there.
On Delaware
There's a
Street.
cosmetologist there who does facials.
And there's
stuff.
something behind next to the bank, and I don't know what that is.
There's a hair salon behind the bank.
Okay, so I think, a lot of the business owners in town have taken care of helping other business owners get their
Yeah.
footing in. And, the Saturday market, I think has been good. They're talking about ways that maybe some of those places can be located in an indoor location during the winter months as well.
Well, I know that last winter, Shaw Alley had the Christmas market. Hopefully,
It will be the December 5th, 6th, and 7th this year. So instead of every weekend, they're doing it in a combined thing, all in.
But they're talking about, maybe using a space in the David Finney where they could set up weekly anyway.
that's true.
And those are all local farms and
Right.
local chefs and what have you.
That would be good.
Yeah, so that's all stuff we can like add to like the 10 years of like update, like revisit a lot of that.
And maybe
Stuff like
it's
that.
not about encouraging more businesses, but to encourage,
Support the ones that are here.
to support the ones that we have, because I think we have a good variety.
Yes.
I mean, we have a great variety for food.
Chapter 10.
It's nice to see something we had a strategy about actually happen in here. But I'm not actually aware that that the city did anything other than make it possible for people to get licenses. A lot of this is before your time, but, I think it was an organic change that took place where suddenly,
Yeah, but I mean, we had the economic development.
yeah.
Wasn't there like a
Person
Main Street thing?
I don't know if there ever actually was one, but.
I know
I've
they
been looking.
tried to get one. We've been talking about
Yeah.
trying to get it together. Cause the state has money that would help support that.
Doesn't that go back to, again, on page 101 with the downtown, the district development, because I had made a note. What some of the incentives are they still being available to utilize, but then I look down at the bottom of the page. That some of the things are there. And,
Yeah, The DDD is definitely utilized,
Yeah,
and we want to encourage more utilization of that. We're actually planning like a workshop for
That's
probably
great.
early December.
That's really
To
good.
talk more about the DDD, just let people
Okay.
know what's out there. Remind people that it's here, because people do use it thankfully, but it's brought for more people too.
Do you find people use it because they're already interested in doing that? And
Yeah,
have
oftentimes.
and they just happen to find out about it because they're trying to open a business, or they're trying to open a business because they see these incentives, I guess. Like, is it,
I see it more on the residential side when people use it in historic area to improve their homes. But I know in other municipalities, they do use it as a business incentive. I actually just went to a workshop for this last week for us administrators, and that's what a lot of places were saying, like, was it Seaford? Had a big program.
Seaford uses it a lot.
Yeah, Milford, Smyrna, they all had large programs where a lot of businesses were using it.
Does Rick work with them as well?
Yes.
Okay.
If you could video that workshop and then have a link to it on the website, I think it would help, because then we wouldn't have to start from scratch every time.
Right.
We could say, go learn about it here.
Mhm.
One of the other things I noticed in here, which I think would be helpful to what HAC is trying to do, is a waiver for businesses for the Historic Area Commission fee. One of the things that I think is in consideration is to ask all the businesses one time to submit for approval of what they've done on the front of their businesses. And this would mean they wouldn't have to pay for it.
Mhm.
So it's not asking them to spend money, it's just asking them to engage with the process. Because there are a lot of well-meaning businesses who put stuff out in front of their businesses, which are not allowed by code and by the design guidelines. So it's something we need to tidy up.
Tamara, you have something?
This was a little bit back, the community development coach, is that still in existence? On page 102.
Is that Rick?
And if so,
Yeah. That's, Mr. Farrell.
Yeah.
I have a question. Who is Mr. Farrell?
He is a contractor for the state who works with the DDD program.
He has a very deep, long resume, working retail.
Mhm.
He's an attorney. He works with a lot of the partners in the small business ecosystem. I know we at the SPDC have done some work with him. I've done a lot of work with him over the years. He works with True Access Capital, and some other.
Okay, no, I saw that.
So is he the one who acquired all this statistical data, or? I noticed there's two sources they use, the American Community Survey and Census.
Rick Farrell reference here is related to the downtown development district. So this section of the comp plan is describing what's called the downtown development district program. So Mr. Farrell is a consultant for the state, and he goes to various municipalities and offers his knowledge to both, homeowners and businesses who wish to take advantage of the program, and also provides guidance to the local municipalities themselves. So just real quick, the Downtown Development District, the DDD program was a program started by the state.
Office of State Planning.
In 2015, 16,
Mhm.
10 years ago.
where if a municipality or a county can apply to have a certain area of their jurisdiction designated as a DDD. And it's limited to about 100 acres.
Mm.
And there's certain criteria to the formation of that 100 acres. You can't gerrymander. It has to be part of it. It's intended to be part of a downtown, and it's meant to provide economic incentives for redevelopment in those areas. And the primary incentive is that capital investments in real property over $25,000-ish. If you are in the DDD, you can apply to get a rebate for up to 20% of the real property investment that you made from the state. The local, our role in that is just to promote it, is to stay on top of it, is to let homeowners and business owners know that it's out there. It's mostly administered by the state. We don't, but as with most state programs like that, they said, we'll do this, but we want to know what you, the municipality, is going to offer.
Mm.
And that's what these local incentives are on page 101, the building permit fee waiver, the historic commission fee waiver. The state created this program to promote economic redevelopment in distressed areas. That's how it was originally started. And it's grown a little bit, and they want the locals to pony up their portion by providing local incentives. And the city was approved in, we were first denied, and then we reapplied and were approved in 2019 and expanded a couple of years ago.
22. or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty recently.
And oddly enough, the state legislation and the program doesn't involve planning commissions. In order to be eligible to apply for the DDD within the city, we had to come up with a plan. And really, it was just a recitation of the things that were mentioned in the comp plan. So that's the DDD program in a nutshell.
Okay, so I want to
Right.
keep, no, that's okay.
Thank you.
Keep moving. Any last minute comments on chapter 10 before we move to chapter 11? Chapter 11 is on housing, kind of describes the different neighborhoods. Obviously the need for some housing, but looks like in the pipeline, there's a lot of housing coming along, so.
There is on page 111, it doesn't have to be done for the 5-year, but for the 10-year, that housing stock will have to be updated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, there's a typo, I think, on page 110. It said that between 2000 and 2010, resulting in 17,900 additional units. And I'm like, there's not even 17,000 units in all of
oh, that's
Newcastle.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's not here, and again, can wait for the 10-year, but is the concept of accessory dwelling units.
Right.
Which is a topic I'd like to talk about in a future meeting as well. I did notice in the city code, there is actually mention of accessory use of dwelling units. But I found it in the context of looking for something else. So it's already mentioned in our code somewhere. So it may be that encouraging that might not need a lot of code revision, just more communication to people.
Well, I don't remember whether city council actually has acted on a recommendation to make that happen.
Accessory dwelling units? They have not.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, but I think we need to do a little bit more and, also try to put together some way to communicate to people the opportunity, because it not only increases housing stock, but it increases the opportunity for generational wealth. And both of those are things we should be doing in our community.
Other comments on chapter 11?
No, I didn't see anything that needed like immediate change. Most of it's just, you know, obviously updating these numbers and descriptions of the city areas. You know, once we get to close to the 10 year.
Anyone else? Chapter 12? There's a lot of stuff in here. I don't know why it's in here.
Right.
I mean, they had stuff on neighborhoods that are just south of Wilmington and not part of us. Like, I don't understand why that's there.
The one thing I thought of when I read this is that we used to get a lot more information about what the sea level rise committee is doing. And I think it would be good for us to get a regular update on that in our meetings. But I assume that's still happening.
Well,
Yeah,
they were a
it's
task
renamed,
force
it's,
and then they,
Flood resiliency committee now. I think.
Yeah.
Weren't they just originally like a temporary task force and then they became permanent?
Mhm.
Flood
Yes.
resiliency.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they, just,
They had a requirement to meet at minimum quarterly, but with the funding structure of the federal government right now and limited funds being available, and at the moment none, we reduced it to meet at least once a year until, and then as needed, once we find more funding resources.
Well, they did have some recommendations which would have affected planning, and I don't know if we've connected those dots or not. So it might be useful at least to get a status of that, because there was a lot of talk
Can you be
about this.
specific?
Yeah, they had done some work on the canals around the city and, you know, what kind of barriers should be put up or how it should be managed so that they don't overflow their banks and flood the city. Stuff like that. I mean, wasn't there one of your people who was working on that
yes, yeah,
committee
yeah.
who sadly passed away?
Yes,
Yeah.
we still continue to work with the flood resiliency committee.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that during the 10-year update, that whatever, I don't know what's gonna happen with the dikes, whether they'll be raised by that time. But you can imagine a scenario where you're going to have to consider the impacts of sea level rise on future land use.
Right, yeah,
And, is it worth it? Does it make sense to have our most intense mixed use zone predominantly in the floodplain, the
Yeah.
DG zone?
Yeah.
Which is the main purpose
which is
of
the
the DG.
issue, yeah.
The DG zone is to, activate the street level
Mhm.
with retail and service establishments and having multifamily above it. And the only DG we have is in the floodplain, and you see it, it has to be elevated. So the non-residential commercial area that's supposed to activate the street level is 8 feet high,
Mhm.
which of course it still provides some activation and some, street level activity, but it's still a little odd to have it.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. It was done in 1830.
No.
So, yeah, but I mean, there's other ways that it could be addressed too with higher barriers or other kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I know they talked about that. And the fact that I don't know anything about it, and I've been on this commission for 5 years, it says that we're just not getting that information here. So maybe we can just get a refresh of what that's all about.
I think Gail was on that.
She was, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's the only time I ever heard information about it.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had plenty of meetings throughout this past year to talk about it, but no decisions have been made on how high to elevate it or, to extend it because we're still looking at all funding opportunities.
Is there any way to get just a brief overview of what was recommended, like,
Right.
just so we know, what they're looking at in general?
Well, I was just wondering for the 10 year, like when we look at updating the section for the 10 year, should we add that we have that
Yes.
that
Oh, yeah.
committee now into that, section, and
Yeah.
then
You should report on that.
adding any like initiatives that they have completed or are in progress with, and then obviously just updating some of these other, like, you know, information here.
Yeah, and I think consulting with one of their, like their chair and a member might be helpful. too.
And I think, you know, mapping it to other goals here, how that helps and affects those other goals is gonna be important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I had a similar question when I was reading that something about the climate change, and I made a little note to myself, what steps are underway to mitigate? So going back to what you were saying, just obviously something is being done, but we're just not necessarily aware, so
Yeah,
it's nice to kind of have some idea.
Are we in environmental protection right now?
Yes.
Okay,
We're on the
because I had a
right
question about housing and I'm
Oh,
just
go,
looking at it.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I've never seen this, you know. But I don't see two communities unless they're included in another community, Jackett Square and William Penn Square.
Where are they?
William Penn Square is where I live. Or William Penn,
They're
Court,
right up
Sure it
Wilmington
exists.
Road on the right.
William Penn Court and Jackett Court, we just call them squares. I don't see them
Can you
included
spell the
in
Jack Cat one?
JACQUETTE,
They're right up his
right off
button.
of Route 9.
Oh, okay.
They're right up his button.
Are they in the, are they part of the city?
They're across the
Well,
street
they
from
have to be,
Boothurst.
he's here.
Oh, it's,
Right across the street from Boothurst. I don't see either one of them here.
oh, okay.
And
That,
then,
that doesn't fall within the Button Hood area, it's a separate area.
that's what I'm asking, would
Yeah.
they be included, and the same thing,
It's
but-
further
Yeah,
down.
that's what I'm not sure about, 'cause
right,
I don't know the
right.
limits of like what Buttonwood and what is
Right,
like separate
exactly.
areas.
Exactly, and it might, because years ago, that was all a part of Buckner,
Yeah.
so it may be included, but it needs
yeah,
to
I'm
be
wondering if they
separated.
did.
Yeah, yeah,
It was part of Buttonwood. at
it
one
was,
point?
and even a portion of Penn Valley. I don't think Penn Valley here either.
I think that's a common, things people lumping in with Buttonwood.
Right.
When my
right.
dad was around, he knew Penn Valley and he would call it Penn Valley, but you don't hear anybody reference that now. I think they just make the unfortunate assumptions all part of Buttonwood.
Well, that,
They're not individual little, like, you know, I'm in Van Dyke Village, but there's also Bolton in my area as
Yeah.
well.
Which is not really broken out.
No, it's
in there.
not.
but I don't see them even mentioned, and that's, you know, our addresses are William Penn, Jackett. That's
Interesting.
what our addresses are. right?
Yeah,
And the same with Penn Valley. Their addresses are Penn Valley.
it would be really nice to have a map of the city that was neighborhood oriented.
Yes, I was going to say
Yeah,
the same.
I think I
thing.
mentioned this to Antonina when I was running for office, because if you're not familiar with it, it's really hard to figure out on your own. And some kind of a map that showed the streets that were included, even if they weren't official places anymore, which maybe these are, maybe they're not, but it.
Like Shawtown.
Yeah, but well, Shawtown is a
Shawtown.
recognized
But I'm
neighborhood.
just saying-
Yeah, but show where they all are, in part, well, because we're proud of our city and we wanna talk about it as an entirety. But also if you wanna do any kind of political outreach, it's really hard to figure it out. And I think a lot of the things we're talking about here are civic reach outs that would be helped by knowing what the boundaries are, because every one of those areas has a culture as well. And that needs to be taken into account when you're trying to encourage people to come in and get involved.
That's something we
and
could-
stuff.
We could do at the next,
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna say the same thing that
create that map.
we need to have that map, because I was looking at the maps we have. and
They're
none of
very
them break it
zone
down.
oriented.
And they are very zone oriented.
They are, but you could put,
I mean,
make an addendum and.
Yeah,
Oh, put overlays.
people who have been within the community longer
Mhm.
know those areas, like
I've been there
like Reverend Moore.
70 years.
You've been there, I'm only 51 years, so.
I've been there 70 years, so
You're way
But,
longer than me.
but Bull Hill, I mean, that's part of,
Yeah, Bull Hill.
I mean, people don't realize that that's Bull Hill, I mean, and a lot of people don't, it's, I guess it's a loss of the history of our town. a little bit,
Exactly, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and things like that, so.
Yeah, I ended up learning about where all these places were from the chief of police, sitting in his office, showing me a thing on this screen and identifying, and he was going really fast, I'm like, look up, because I didn't have any way to write them all down, but I think it would be a real asset to the community. And I think getting into Bull Hill too, you know, that, at that level of detail would be helpful. Because it's historically important as well. Also, I mean, in a small way, the revised location of Fort Casimir, which they've discovered is not where they thought it was. It's about 200 yards away. So, and they put a new marker out there and they did all kinds of stuff and people don't really realize it. So,
When they were talking about it's the school in Buttonwood, Stephen, that they're trying to get the designation for the school in
Is it
Buttonwood
the
School.
The button school.
yeah,
Yeah, he mentioned, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Brian brought that up.
people don't really
Even though it's there.
understand, you know,
The significance.
The
yeah, the
importance of it.
significance or how these outer areas play. I mean, my area is fairly new. It goes back to the sixties, so there's really not a whole lot of history in Van Dyke Village. But in Buttonwood and other areas, there is a bigger significant thing, and that should definitely be at least preserved in our maps.
Yeah,
Well, does anybody know if there's any descriptions or booklets or information on each of those little areas?
there's some on Wikipedia, but
Oh.
that's the only place I ever found it.
Okay.
There's a Newcastle book, and I have a copy, and there's been a couple renditions of it, because apparently there's some inaccuracies in it, but I could look there.
The Historical Society would know too, I think. Mike Connolly would know.
Do we have any other like edits, suggestions for chapter 12, the environmental? Bring it on.
The one other thing I wanted to mention on page 122, we haven't had a lot of complaints about it recently. But a lot of the people closer to the refinery chemical plant complained about air quality and they complained a lot about it.
Which chemical plant?
Um,
Delaware
Croda?
City or?
No, not Delaware City, the one
Croda.
on the bridge, Croda, yeah. This is not taking a shot at Croda, he's a very good partner to our city in many ways. But the problem with the people who were living locally there was that their air quality was averaged into the whole city as opposed to looked out at for their particular neighborhood. And we talked about it at the time and nothing came of it, but looking at a more nuanced view of air quality in the city because of the industrial things that are happening. And I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we have a data center coming in. We may not be able to stop phase one of that. That's going to have an impact on air quality and other things as well. And that may bring other industries in. There's a food processing plant that's going to be built, or when's it going to be built? Sometime soon out in the industrial park.
Yeah. I don't know when their permits are getting approved.
Yeah, so maybe a more nuanced look for the 10-year plan, a more nuanced look at the how we measure air quality so that neighborhoods are not afflicted by smells that they don't want. So could we note that for 10 years as opposed to 5 years?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, chapter 13, open space and recreation.
Well, we'll probably just need to update, like Battery Park, I know it's getting like a major overhaul.
Yeah,
Any of that will just need to be updated once all that's completed.
Well,
And can we-
hopefully they'll have expanded the trail by then.
Can we note with the partnership that it was there?
Encore?
Yeah, that, because
Oh.
they've been instrumental in getting the park done.
You want this for the 10-year?
yeah, for 10 years, yeah. That would be part of the Battery Park recreation facilities, because it's significantly improved.
Well, I'm excited to see the new stuff they're bringing for, I have to go find some little kids so I can go back.
I'm sure there's people around who would loan you some. I don't know if it's noted in here, but we do have a very nice bathroom in Battery Park too, a real bathroom, not a porta potty.
Is it
Do we have
open?
Yes, it is open.
It's been open
Yeah.
for months.
Where is it?
Where behind the playground?
In between the Terry House and, New Orleans, as you go down the Battery
There's a
Park. up
pathway down
Delaware.
there.
There's
The
a
brick
right there,
building.
It's a brick structure.
It's been there for many years. It was closed for a little
They've
bit.
had vandalism problems.
It's not too far off from
but-
the basketball court,
Okay.
if you know where those are. It's like a little brick house near the basketball courts.
Oh, that's a bathroom.
That is a bathroom.
Yeah, it's been a bathroom, but it was
Aren't you glad you went
vandalized.
back?
At least you get to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. But it got vandalized, so it wasn't really operable for a
Right.
while, so, and then they were just saying it had to open back up.
We noted it in another part of this review, but, around the, Markel Trail, they're gonna do a very large development where it hits 273 and add facilities and,
Oh, to the
pumps for
trail,
bike
yeah.
bike tires and all that, which is not mentioned in here. So again,
And they
that's,
do have future trail expansions here, but I don't know if it's necessarily matches.
Yeah,
what
it's-
So what happened to that trail thing that we approved?
They're waiting, to finalize the plans that get their funding.
I was gonna say, the federal funding holding them up probably.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind, moving on. Anything else for,
I did have a question, which is slightly, maybe not exactly related, because the Kalmar nickel made me think of it. The, fire department's access thing is hanging off of the pier.
Mhm.
Was that always the plan that it would go there?
Yeah, it's a floating pier.
It's so ugly. Who
Okay.
approved that? That was never shown to the Historic Area Commission.
Yeah.
It's hideous. At a minimum, it should have been painted black. I mean,
There's probably safety reasons.
How are
not
they gonna
black.
see it in the dark?
it's an eyesore and it's a shame. I understand why the safety things have to happen. I'm all for that, but
Yeah,
I
and
was
that's what
shocked.
that's the main point of it.
I do understand that.
I had a question regarding page 135. The Dobbinsville fishing pier, and I was like, what fishing pier? I was like, it says
are we still
that it was
looking at,
adopted in January of 2020.
Yes,
but
Denrock,
like, what fishing pier?
yeah, Denrock is working on, has been working on a fishing pier at the Demus Beach area, south of, Dobbinsville.
I know like when you go on River Road, you
Mhm.
go past Dobbinsville, that little
Yes.
bend.
Yeah.
We can pull in and park there. I know people fish over there by that little beach like
Mhm.
area.
is that where it would be?
But other than that, I mean, it's like, okay, there's no pier, it's just.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. I've been giving reports about it for the
Oh,
last few
okay.
months. Mhm.
Okay, I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently, I mean, it's been mentioned in here, so it's been in the works for a long time.
What about Buttonwood Park? Buttonwood and Mayhem Street, there's a basketball court and playground.
Mhm.
Is that true?
Oh.
Oh, okay, we'll have to fix.
Yeah, I think that whole list ends up have to get like revisited once we
Yeah,
get to like the 10-year, because like Battery Park, some of the stuff that's there may be upgraded also by the time this rolls around.
Yeah, I was thinking I was gonna have to go walk around and
So we
find
just
out
have
where
to
all
make
these
sure we
little
know
parks are.
some of these like changes.
all of the
some
little
taken
parks
out.
are not in here. They're not all included.
Oh, we're missing some?
Oh, yeah.
So we got some that don't exist. and
Suzie
some
Park's
that are-
not in here.
No,
Oh,
TC
yeah.
Park,
Big
is
one.
there. I think they listed it, I think something else, don't they? Young Street Park,
Where do you see it?
is the Young Street Park, I think is that,
Oh,
is that maybe the
They-
same?
they-
Cause it's off of Young Street, I thought.
yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
would
where
be.
that doesn't have the proper
It might have
name.
been
Yeah,
renamed at the
yeah.
time when they did.
No, but this is, the Young Street Park is the Italian Immigrant Memorial. But
It is?
there's. Suzie
Oh,
Park.
is that the one by the water tower?
Yeah,
Yeah, but aren't they like the same though?
no,
Oh, they're different?
they're in different locations.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought it was like around the same, cause that's, I think Young Street right around there where that,
Mhm.
where Suzie
It
Park
is, but it should be named as Suzie Park.
Oh.
But the description here is the Italian Immigrant Memorial. It's not playground, you know what I mean? That's why I don't
Yeah.
think it's Suzie Park.
So So yeah, we'll probably just have to update that list, but I don't think that's anything like urgent enough to like have to take it to the state or something.
So implementation of this plan. Do we know? I mean, I'm thinking some of this stuff might have been done. Some of it looks like it's always gonna be ongoing.
I mean, you
Some
have
of it,
to refer to the, annual reports.
Yeah, I think that comes up when we do the annual reports usually, and
Mhm.
something's been done.
Yeah.
On implementation, could I make an observation and a suggestion and just a comment? Been reading comprehensive plans for years and decades, and we've done this, and I've done this, where it's just a recitation of existing programs, some strategies, and then you just throw everything you can at the wall in the implementation section. There is a good trend now that you get right to the heart of the matter in the body of the text, and you put the recitation of existing programs and a lot of the data in the back. And the body of the text is where a reader can really get straight to what your goals and objectives are. And you really tighten up the implementation section, and you make it more prescriptive with projected
I
timelines,
like that,
responsible parties.
yeah.
And then with this, and I'm not criticizing anything, because I've done this. You just, oh yeah, let's throw that, do that, do that.
well, it
And then
becomes overwhelming.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it becomes vague too.
it becomes vague and overwhelming. It's well intended to the point where it becomes vague and unimplementable.
Exactly.
And I've seen the recent trend in comp plans is to be very, very prescriptive. You know, change, you know, the R1 zone to the R1A zone within 2 years to, I'll just make this up, to allow townhouses at 4 units per acre in this area of the city. Responsibility, planning commission, you know, approval authority, city council, stuff
I
like
love
that.
that.
And those
Yeah.
are things you can actually check off
Right.
and.
Yeah, I'm working in another jurisdiction where we're beginning to implement the comprehensive plan, and it's like, that's what we're
This
gonna
is what
do.
you do.
This is what we're doing.
I really like
We're not
that.
incentivizing private investment, remaining undeveloped lands, you know,
Yeah,
Well,
we're not talking about harmonious development.
yeah.
If that doesn't happen, what then? Like, that's already written in that way, like if we're gonna be that exact on timelines and things like that, if that doesn't happen, then what?
Then
Nothing really, I guess.
you.
Put it in the next.
You probably modify it.
There's no-
I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna be that exact and detailed, is that what we
Right.
really want?
Well, I think
Well,
it was an annual report.
And again, I may not be sitting here, you guys may not be sitting here.
Right, and that's what I'm saying,
Whatever.
because it won't
So,
be us. So
maybe
we'll
another
be
time.
very strict about things and
Well,
really narrowing down things.
You have to be confident that that's what you wanna do.
Right, and I think
And
if we
if it
just
can
pick like
actually be-
5
Yeah,
things, and
correct.
then maybe we can actually get
Yeah.
them done, as opposed to having 30 that
Yes.
none of them get done.
Well, and I think it's also when we start looking at like the annual, when we start checking off what we've done and not done, and if things are not done, then we should be providing like a reasoning why. Oh, we couldn't do this because funding could not be obtained in time, or something like that, so that there's a record as to maybe why goals were not met in time, and then if we need to change the plan at some point to, you know, correct those or take those out, then we could do that if needed. But I think like annually you would look at it, and then you'd look at, you know, maybe like a 5-year, and then look at it again for the 10-year if it's not feasible or something like that. But have some record as to like, you know, if you set a goal to do something within 2 years and you can't do it within 2 years, then within like that annual year where you think you'd have it completed by, then maybe provide reasoning why it could not be completed or something.
But I'd rather see it as something that we look at in every meeting. If we look at it once a year, nobody's gonna ever do anything. This is something where we should be jogging our memory and saying, these are the things that the implementation says need to be done in the next 6 months. How are we gonna get this done? Because otherwise it just languishes, and it's frustrating. And and it's especially sad because it's so many good things that could happen for the community that were planned and somebody thought them through and they documented all the things that needed to get done, like the downtown gateway. And we're still looking at derelict houses sitting in the downtown gateway. So, it would be nice to keep it top of mind and
Well, I
keep
think
it as
with,
part of our responsibility to make it happen.
yeah, and I think with having like the timeline saying this is our plan and we want to have it accomplished by, is a good thing. The other thing is, because none of us were here when the original comp plan, we don't know what their real honest goal was, or if they were just throwing out nice ideas.
Throwing against. the
Yeah, I
wall.
mean, I agree.
I mean, some of these things are great, but it help with affordable housing. Well, what was the plan with that? Was the city gonna provide tax rebates? I mean, affordable homeownership is actually specifically what it says, not housing, is homeownership. So I mean, but what was the thought process? Oh, we'll just put it in there, it sounds nice. So I agree that there needs to be a specific goal and a timeline, and then we manage the comp plan by the timelines we prescribe.
Yeah,
I agree with that completely.
I mean, I don't know that we could do it every single meeting, revisit like the topic at every meeting, because I think with some of the other topics we have, they get very very time consuming. But
Well,
I think
maybe
if we set
quarterly
goals
or
to like revisit it on a regular basis or something like that, I think it'd be more feasible.
Or even just put it as a topic to jog your memory that this is coming up and that we have to, as a topic, a reminder, this is, we have 6 months deadline on this. Because we do get things that come in with presentations that take up.
Yeah, no, we should
time.
definitely, revisit things like that if we set timelines, but I think being, setting some reasonable like goals, like looking at it quarterly or biannually or something, like
Yeah.
setting something in place. But I think monthly would be a little hard, because if we get a really busy month, I mean, we all know we've sat here for 3 hours sometimes through some of these meetings that, we don't need to add something like that to the agenda when we already have a packed agenda sometimes.
think about plans though, is if you don't keep them top of mind, they don't occur. We've all worked in businesses where that's been the case, so. Even
This is-
one thing, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, this is from what I see, it is a very thorough, comprehensive plan, but there are no goals.
No.
No specific goals.
No specific goals and timelines.
Yeah.
And the implementation would not include the timelines. The goals would actually include the timelines, and the implementation would tell us how we would reach that goal within that time, so.
You asked the question, what happens if you don't do it? The only, if it's a program type thing that says, the city should implement an affordable housing program to, and I'm just making stuff up, to provide rebates to first-time home buyers for a 5-year tax abatement, or something like that. That's sort of programmatic, and if you don't do that.
No, I get
Yeah,
that.
but-
I was more honing in on, in 6 months, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. In 2 months, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, same thing.
We'll do this, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah.
same thing.
So I'm just saying, like, in my experience, like, just being careful of those exact things, or failure of meeting deadlines or multiple deadlines. Cause we're holding fast to a document that's.
We're gonna fire you.
There for a long period of time, and I agree with establishing deadlines. I do agree with establishing goals, but the way to do it, the process of how to do it, like even like revisiting it quarterly or whatever that looks like, but that doesn't have to be like it's so exact in the implementation piece here. Like, is there another document that we could, guidelines we could use internally to kind of track ourselves and making sure that we're meeting against the implementation that we're stating in here, like those things that we want to do or accomplish, those goals. Does that make sense?
So you're saying hard deadlines should be within our own document, and then.
Yeah, like, I don't know if we should have so many hard deadlines in here that we
Well, we're
are
committed to the
challenged to
state,
meet.
And I agree with you,
Because,
I'm not
it's
saying.
not
It
the
could
full
be-
responsibility of the planning commission to
Exactly.
fulfill all of the
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
So for you to mandate that, it would be difficult,
yes.
and then also difficult to say, yes, we've met those deadlines.
Exactly, and it wouldn't look good on us as a commission to have things out there, commitments out there that we can't meet, and we've seen how one application, it could take 3 months just to get through, like,
Right.
we can't commit to certain things, and we've known that for a while now. In the longer short time we've been a part of this, so I'm just saying, maybe we should consider that.
But maybe having the more regular updates biannually
Yeah.
or whatever,
Mhm.
okay. This is, assigned to city council,
Yeah.
planning commission, flood committee, whatever. Can we get an update from those committees? And then that will help inform us for the annual report.
But you were gonna actually say what happens if we don't do them, and I wanted to hear that.
I was gonna make it this, I was making a distinction between sort of programmatic recommendations or strategies or whatever implementation items in the comprehensive plan. If you didn't do that affordable housing program, let's say, nobody, there's no penalty for it except public saying you didn't do it. So, which is, a thing of itself. The primary legislative mandate of implementing the comprehensive plan comes in with the future land use plan. That if we, and you've heard me say this, 24 times now, the future land use plan and this plan didn't change anything. It just took the existing zoning and said, we're good with this. This is it aggregated various residential districts into a residential future land use district and said, that's what this area wants to be, because in a relatively built environment, that's what's gonna happen. We're not gonna un-residential,
Yeah.
Van Dyke Village, it's gonna be a residential future land use.
Right.
But you do have opportunities in here to envision different land uses in areas where you think land uses should change. And what I'm getting at is if you come up with a future land use designation on a parcel that is inconsistent with that zone, with that parcel zoning, then you have 18 months to rezone that parcel to something akin to the future land use district that you are proposing it to be. So that's in state law. That is the legal link, that is the legally mandated link between your comprehensive plan and your zoning.
Right.
And that's
not the state, this is not the state law. That's the state law that you're citing, right?
the
It's the
18 months, the 18
implementation.
months is in the state law.
Exactly.
And then what I'm
That's
saying,
what-
like,
It's already there, that's a document that we would refer to make sure that we're in alignment with those things, but does that need to be repeated in a comprehensive plan?
it would be a given if, like,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
if in 2030, 2031, you say that we're, and again, I'm just making stuff up, we're done with the DG zone, we want a traditional multifamily, or we want traditional residential instead of these DG areas. It's in the floodplain area, we can't do it anymore, or we want it to be all straight retail, let's do away. It's too hard to do mixed use development anymore. And we say, instead of, it's no longer DG, let's rezone, the future land use area for ferry cutoff is commercial, period. Then within 18 months of that adoption, you have to have that area rezoned to commercial. Again, to the extent that the DG zone is inconsistent with what the plan's saying, that you have to create or rezone an area to match the future land use plan within 18 months of adopting the plan. So
I got you.
because this plan didn't change the future land use,
That doesn't pertain to us.
it doesn't pertain to us. And we've talked for 6 months about 50 strategies.
Yeah.
None of which are legislatively mandated by the state.
No.
Because again, the biggest thing that the comp plan does is gives you the opportunity to change the future land use. That's in my opinion.
Right.
It talks about parks and open space and sea level rise, but the biggest thing that it can do is give you the ability to rezone lands to envision a future use of an area of the city that's not
What it currently is.
not what it currently is. That's my,
Oh, thank you. The rest of it is just we didn't manage it, even though it was a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's the only thing that a comp plan does, and I'm saying that's the primary thing that the comp plan does.
Right.
It just didn't do because the planning commission at the time was comfortable with the zoning.
Yeah.
And that may be the case at point. I'm not saying that it's good or couldn't.
Yeah, and I think some of the initiatives that are in there and things that, you know, like with the government being the way that it has been the last year or so, it's kind of shut down the ability to apply for grants or do different things. So there are things in the comp plan that we could potentially still be working on, but because of other things outside of our control, we cannot currently move forward with and stuff like that. So it's not always that we're not doing things that we should be. It's sometimes things outside of our control, I think, that are coming up too.
So how do you propose we amend chapter 14? Is there something that we as a commission should be thinking about now in terms of recasting that or starting to try to live up to an implementation plan now, as opposed to all these 100 literally things that it's suggesting that we do?
I'm saying this on October 27th, 2025. So.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 2030.
No, I know that, but I'm speaking practically for us. We're all sitting here, we've given our thoughts to this and might give some genuine energy to it. All of this is super vague, you know, how do we get out of the overwhelming complexity of all this and actually do some stuff?
I think it's too early to develop a strategy when there's gonna be updates throughout this whole entire. I think we have more time.
I don't think we do. I think this was the strategy 5 years ago and nobody's done anything. I think it's.
I don't think
time
it's
to
fair to
do
say no
some
one's
stuff.
done anything.
Well,
Yeah, I don't.
A lot of it hasn't been done. If you just, I mean,
And a lot has been done.
okay,
I think you have to look at both.
that's fine, but there's still a lot to do.
Of course, there always will be.
Okay, so what do we focus on over the next year or two to try to make something more happen?
Well, so are you proposing to now develop actual strategies for implementation of each of these goals 5 years in? Or are you gonna work towards looking at the 10-year, the next comp plan, and how do we continue pursuing those, you know, throughout the next 15 years?
We're talking two entirely different philosophies here.
I know, I'm asking.
Yeah, I think we should do something now. What are we waiting for? We don't have any big projects to review in this commission. We haven't seen anything coming in. There's no hint of anything. Why don't we use our time to develop plans to implement some of these and to have a discussion in a future meeting, like next time, about which things we think is important and what should we push for to get done?
So remember, your 5-year update is due in December,
Uh-huh.
so you have 2 months to work on this. Is that how everyone wants to proceed?
I don't
You
think,
have to,
I don't think it has anything to do with the 5-year update.
I think
to
what
do
she's
this
saying
review.
is, what are we gonna do between year 5 and year 10 to help move any of these things along?
Yeah,
okay, so you're not talking about
no, not the
creating the
5-year.
actual, like,
I'm not talking about changing it.
that's what I thought.
She's trying to come up with a strategy to implement some of these things that have been, Neglected.
Neglected, exactly. I mean, there's some that are very obvious to me, but I'm a stakeholder in parts of the city, and there's maybe some that are obvious to other people here, because they're stakeholders in other parts of the city.
Yeah.
Well,
At least let's do something.
I think a number of these are things that are not within our scope, which are things that like, we may have to have in a separate meeting, like maybe after we get past December in our 5-year review and stuff like that. Sit down through these and go through and say which ones these could we as a committee actually assist or affect change with?
Or recommend
And the
to
rest
city
are,
council.
what should we suggest city council to take a look at? What should we suggest for the city or their, municipal services to take a look at? Cause some of this
Exactly.
falls under their purview with like street cleanings or leaf cleaning, things from
Yeah.
gutters and things, I think, or sewers or something like that in some section.
Mhm.
So I think at some point we need to just sit here with like Antonina and go through some of these goals and say, this is something the city should be responsible for, where are we with it? Or, could we find out something and then we report back in like a month or, 2 months, like give a certain period of time where we have a follow-up with. to see where we are with
Exactly.
some of
Yeah,
those.
that was my question, is this, not to cut you off,
Okay.
this total comprehensive plan, was it developed for this committee?
None of us were here when it was,
It's for the whole
It's
city.
for the whole city,
But we
okay,
have, but the
all right.
committee at the time helped develop it and then also sort of helped, I think, with like some of the public meetings and things like that and sitting in on them and listening to what the public had to say. And then I think they
The
worked.
purview of the planning
Yeah.
commission is to oversee the zoning code and the development of the comprehensive plan. So the former planning commission developed this,
Yeah.
but like Bree said, in
Yeah.
conjunction with public outreach. things
Public
like that.
outreach and I think we had consultants and things that we work with to like help probably with wording or different things. I wasn't here, but I'm, my understanding is it's a plan for the whole city that we had input in. And we do have the ability to work on some of these goals ourselves. Like if we wanted to maybe look into helping with finding grants to pay for certain things, we could. But it's not necessarily like mandated that we do all of these goals ourselves. It's a lot of it falls under the city or the city council or different organizations, the hack maybe,
Mhm.
to, have a say in some of these goals. But all the goals are for, the city as a whole and not necessarily just for the planning commission.
So I was going to say, to go along with what you're saying, Bree, and what Cynthia's saying, as a way of trying to wrap our heads around this list of chapter 14, you said some things have already been done. Okay, most of us are new to this committee, to this commission. So perhaps you could maybe let us know what has been done already.
Yeah, I can send you the past.
So what has been done, what's in the works,
Mhm.
and then also going back to your comment, Bree, what actually falls within our purview. So we have an idea of what's been done already, what's projected to be done, and what we actually have any kind of influence over. So we're not spending time on an area that we have no input on. Yeah.
Mhm. So all of the annual reports that have been approved by this commission, some of you were here, some of you were not, that is all included. And then obviously there's been, the last one was July, but there's been more that has been done, I'm sure that we could add to it. And then maybe look at that as an opportunity of like how to continue updating that throughout the year.
Mhm.
Treat it like a program plan. I think the problem with a million reports, and this displaces work on individuals. I am willing to do such work if people would like me to do it, but pawing through annual report after annual report isn't a program management approach. Program management is, here's the list of all the things we said we were gonna do, and here's our status on them.
Sure, but it's a starting
Yeah.
point.
I know it's a place to go find it out, but until it's actually put into a program, I'm a former project management professional certified, so I'm speaking of good practice here. That's how you get stuff done. If you just refer to it, oh, we published that, it doesn't help. Somehow it's got to be brought together into a definitive program list, and then we can look at that and we can say, let's leave that, let's push on this. This is one that's actually zoning related. These are things that could help the community more. I mean, we got a stakeholder from all over our community here that could give input, and I don't believe anybody else is reading this book, ladies and gentlemen. We're the readers, we're the thinkers, we're the implementer pushers of this book.
Okay.
How often do we look at this?
Well, the full report's every 10 years, and then every 5 years, we have to give an official review, but every June, we have to submit a report to Dover saying what we've done.
Okay.
so really, especially for the newer members, it's gonna be important to have a compilation of what has been submitted that we have done, or maybe, I don't know if we submit things that are no longer viable as well. So that, I mean, I guess that would have been a good thing to have done in hindsight.
What do you decide to circle the wagons on?
Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, it's like hugging the porcupine.
Yeah.
It can be done. May not always be pleasant.
I think city council would welcome recommendations from us about, you know, fantastic ideas that have been developed by very smart people. It's time to do something.
Yeah, but I'm seeing like a couple of these are probably something that, like the resiliency committee would probably be discussing or in charge of or something like that, but
Absolutely.
they're kind of in a state where they can't do much without, because they can't apply for funding for things to happen,
I
so,
understand.
um,
Can't do it all. we can
but
do
I
some.
think just,
But there can be a status update
Yeah.
in there.
I mean, some of these have been done, I mean, the online bill payment service is done. I think the meters upgrade is all done, if I'm not mistaken, so there are things on here that have been done. But a lot of them were not things that we necessarily as a committee were involved with.
Or could be involved with.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it'd be helpful to just kind of be able to like outline some of the goals and like figure out, as a committee, if there are things that we could be discussing or, you know, taking on as projects. I know when I first came on, like one of the upgrades they were talking about was the electric vehicles. And I know like some of the committee members had worked to try to get some more like charging stations put in or looked at potential charging areas and things like that. So
Yeah.
like a
And that
committee
happened.
member took that project on and helped, you know,
Yeah.
and kept us updated on like the process and what updates or things were done or, you know, what couldn't be done and why and things like that. So I think if like we get to a point where there are some things we identify as possible projects, like if somebody wants to take it on and, you know, do updates and then come back to us as a committee and let us know where we are with it or what we could help with or what, you know, if something's not gonna work, like what else could we do and get some input. I know that worked well for us when I first came on, but things have kind of morphed since then and we haven't really had anyone take on any specific projects from this comp plan.
I had heard that there were going to be, there was a possibility that there would be charging stations in each development or some area,
Yeah,
but that never happened.
No, I think they were looking at like areas that like people would just like, you know, the shopping center, like very cut off shopping center, you know, maybe in putting a few more at the parking lot on Third or like putting a few more like in certain like key areas where there would be more traffic or more people
Visitors.
stopping without like having to like interrupt traffic so they can get easy.
We're charging stations now and
Yeah.
yeah, they're mostly in the historic district.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some in the area already and stuff, and I think some of the committee members that were on the planning commission prior were involved with either the installation of it, like not themselves, but like discussing with the company about the installs or looking into like, you know, could certain things be done or, you know, how expensive would it be? Is it something that,
Funding.
yeah,
But also putting them into parking lots. And I don't know how many parking lots there are in the other areas around the city. So it had to be something that people could share and everybody could get to, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, so.
yeah, I know they looked at like Ferry Cutoff, but I don't think anything got installed there.
I don't think.
And I don't think that's actually, Ferry Cutoff's not owned by the city, right?
Is it their charging
No,
station?
but you're
By the little
by the
triangle,
Mexican
triangle
restaurant.
building?
Oh, okay, there's something there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cause I know they looked
Right
at
as you turn onto Delaware.
yeah, but I think they were looking at putting some at one point, like in Ferry Cutoff, like in that shopping center where the
Portofino
Portofino's
is.
and all
Oh,
that, but
okay.
I think because it's not owned by the city, if I'm not
It's
mistaken,
not.
then like it wasn't something like the city could like
Yeah,
mandate or support or anything like that to a certain extent.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Third Street there, didn't they?
But it's probably like an old meeting minutes or
The parking lot.
back when I first started. 'Cause I forget who was in charge of that.
That was John Lafferty and, George.
Yeah, I think actually George, I think was doing updates.
Well, it's after 8:30 or it's almost 8:30.
We have a hack report to get to.
We were trying.
Do you have a hack report, Cynthia?
Oh,
Can I just wanted to follow up, make one last statement about this, so, maybe at the next meeting, we could put an agenda item for you, because I didn't hear anything that needed to be changed, so next
we can-
meeting, we should probably take a vote on a recommendation to city council that, you know, worded per the state law that,
We've reviewed
It-
this
it-
and then
At
it,
least every 5 years, municipality shall review its adopted comp plan to determine if its provisions are still relevant given changing conditions in municipalities and in the surrounding areas. So
Yeah.
you should take a vote next month to recommend to the city council that that you've completed your 5-year review and you don't recommend any changes per that criteria in the state code. And then, we'll take it to city council to vote and then write a letter to, assuming that they agree, write a letter to state planning and submit the requirements. But it needs a, come from here, come from you as a recommendation.
right, okay,
Could we prepare that so that we could just approve it in the
Yeah,
next
we'll do
meeting?
that.
Yeah, then we don't have to spend any time on it. Discussed it quite a lot here.
What about what I had mentioned, the inclusion of the communities that are not mentioned?
those would be done in the
In the
10-year
10-year.
review.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because they're not like a significant like
Right.
change, so it's like, because of a process, the amount of work that would have to go into it, it just. I don't think warrants like having to put it immediately within the next 2 months, but within the 10-year plan, we're gonna look at. Trying to be more inclusive of all the developments and updates that are happening.
And having a map created is gonna be,
Mhm.
something that's gonna take some time.
Okay. Quickly, but I think of interest to this, commission. 2 solar panel installations were approved in the historic district, over the last month. One of them on the Strand and one of them on Sixth Street. So you have the entire gamut of the historic district where, the homeowners and their, installation companies were able to design rooftop solar panel installations, which met the criteria of the, Historic Area Commission guidelines. That was hard won. The architect was heavily involved in that. And there were a lot of back and forth discussions. Both of these were urgent at this stage because the government subsidy tax rebate for solar stuff ends at the end of this year.
Oh, wow.
And they have to be installed and approved by the electric company. So, but they were both approved and very happy homeowners. But I think it's also useful to understand that you can do those kinds of modern things in the historic district and make it work. So, so that was quite good. The other thing is that a document that I prepared over a year ago to try to provide guidance on signage for the historic commercial zone continues to wend its way along, but I think it's getting near release, and maybe Antonina can tell us a bit more about that. But we've recognized, and I think we've recognized it in here too, that we need to provide more specific guidance to people in the historic district about what's allowed and what's not allowed. Of course, they can read the book. There's a book just like this for the historic district. We want one. And it's very hard for normal humans to read it and get it, but they do need some kind of awareness that they're in the historic district and what the rules might be. So apparently there was an initiative well over a year ago in city council to create an ordinance to require people buying properties in the historic district to sign an acknowledgement that they were in a historic district, because a lot of people moved in and said they never knew. And that was a Brian Mattaway initiative, and all that material that I prepared for you was to support that, and it just kind of sat there.
Mhm.
So I would really like to see that move forward, because we have violations all over the historic district, and it's just because people don't know. It's not because they're willful. So I think signage, do you have any idea when the signage thing will be finally?
No, they're still, the attorney's still reviewing it, so.
Okay, all right, well, it'd be nice to get it done, because the signage right now on the Delaware Street is a problem. I think you're aware of that. So it'd be nice to get some real rules out for people, because preserving the way that place looks is a big part of our ability to attract visitors and money and businesses to this town, which enriches all of us. So that is my report.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Kristen motions to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good meeting people.